Tony Aje from This Life on Wisdom Anchor. I welcome you to this channel again today. Today we have an important topic to talk about, and this is one of the pathways that people take to come to the UK, and this is this healthcare job. Now, I want us to dissect this job to a very great extent during this broadcast, because a lot of people, when they come to the UK through this job pathway, they have no clue as to what they are buying into until they arrive. And the employers, they are not making life easier for people at all. They mute, they don't even talk about your expectation, they don't even talk about the difficulties that you may likely pass through in the course of your working for them. It is very important that I release this video, I go into this in a little bit of detail, so that those of us that have this pathway as our reason of coming, we understand what we are actually buying into, so that we'll be able to know exactly what we need to start preparing for. Number one, healthcare role is one of the jobs that have been made available for I think for more than 1 year now by the UK government, because this job was initially, the job was being carried out by these Eastern European countries when UK was still under EU. But since UK left the European Union, so these particular spaces just came up, and because a lot of the EU citizens, they left UK because of so many reasons, and now the job opportunities just became available, and that is why the UK government had no choice than to start looking for people that are going to fit into these spaces in other countries other than the European Union. Now, what is exactly this healthcare assistant or healthcare support worker? Different people use different names to call it, but basically the healthcare job is a situation whereby you provide care for the elderly and vulnerable people in the society. It could be elderly with dementia, it could be children with disabilities, it could be different categories of people that need assistance. The assistance could be to take medication, the assistance could be to take shower, the assistance could be to clean their rooms, and the assistance could be to cook for them. So the assistance varies from one client to the other. So these are the things that role actually entail. And most of the time, people that are being recruited, they don't know that most of the time it involves them moving from one place to the other. Because a lot of people believe that once they get the job, they are going to sit in one big office with chair rolling like my own, and they're going to be turning, they will have staff all over. No, it doesn't work like that, friends. In fact, most of the time, you are going to move from one place to the other, and the distance you cover from one place to the other vary from maybe 5 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes, sometimes even 1 hour between houses of your clients. So these are the things that people need to know. So that is the job role. So it involves moving from one client's home to the other. Sometimes you may not spend more than 30 minutes in one place, or even 20 minutes in one place. You may get to one client's home, an elderly person home, all you need to do is just to dress the bed, clean the floor, and prepare tea for the client, and off you go after that. Then you move to another client that may require a different set of need. So, and that is how, then at the end of the day, you may end up coming back again to that first client that you started with. So it's a kind of moving from one place to the other, then probably finishing and coming back to where you started. So it's a combination of different things. So, but most importantly, what you do is to provide service for the vulnerable people. And another thing that we have to consider is that moving from one place to the other, a lot of the employees, they, they don't shoulder the cost. The cost of moving from one place to the other, they don't shoulder. I think a lot of them will pay for your transport for the first 4 months. Sorry, for the first 4 weeks of your arrival, of the employment. After that, you are on your own, because it's very expensive to do that. So if you cannot drive, that is where the difficulties may hit you very hard, friends. Public transportation system in the UK, they are very good, especially in the urban area. But when it comes to small towns and villages, it can be very difficult for you to get a bus. That, in fact, as a matter of fact, you can't even get a bus that will be taking you across all the houses of your clients. And the cost of taxi is terribly expensive in the UK. You don't even want to talk about it. So this is an area that those people that are coming from Nigeria and some other parts of the world need to bear in mind, especially for healthcare assistant job. I didn't mean the employment is for you to sit down in one place. You know where you are going to. You know where you are going. You are going to be in one office every day, or with one client every day. A lot of people get this type of job, but majority of people, most people that are coming for this job, that is why they call it dome care. In other words, they move from one place to the other. So the cost of taxi to cover these places, friends, is terribly exorbitant. Now, another issue that you need to know about healthcare job is that the first 6 months is probationary period. And I'm sure in Nigeria, a lot of employers also have that. Probationary period is that you are not a full-time employee at that stage. So probationary period is for the employer to study you, to know, are you fit for the job? Are you making any mistakes? Do you require additional training? Do you? And at the end of the day, it is even during that period that if you don't do well, then they can just let you go. Or during that period, you also have the opportunity of even leaving. So it's a time to study the work, and it's a time also for the employer to study you. After the 6 months, then they will now confirm you as a full-time employee with them. Now let's talk about your entitlement, and this is where a lot of people, they don't understand. They come here with that porous mentality. They don't even know their right from their left. They don't know what demands they need to put. What they need to be demanding from their employers, because the employers, they are not mentioning it. Then they themselves, they also keep mute. They don't know. Number one, once you are confirmed, that is after your probationary period, after the 6 months, you are entitled to paid annual leave, which is 28 days in a year. Yeah, you had it right. You are entitled to 28 days of paid annual leave. 4 weeks, no job, and you have to be paid for that. Number two, you are also entitled to paid sick leave. It's not as if you fall sick every day and they will be paying you. There's a way it's going to be worked out. But at least some time off because of sickness, which you must report. If you are sick, it must be reported. Let's say you go to work in the morning, and before you finish, you start having bad headaches, and you need to come home. You've barely spent maybe about 2 hours or 1 hour. You have to be paid. How much you are going to be paid has to be worked out. And that's going to be a discussion between you and your employer. But statutorily, you are entitled to paid sick leave. And the other entitlement is maternity leave and paternity leave, where maybe in the course of your employment, you got pregnant and you give birth. If you are a lady and you give birth, you are entitled to maternity leave. And if you are a man, a male, who's you have your employment, even though your wife is not in the same employment as you, by virtue of the fact that you have fathered a child while you are in employment with your employer, you are entitled to paternity leave. How many days that is between you and your employer, but you need to know that you are entitled to that. And don't take all these small things for granted, because these are the things that add up, that will make you to enjoy your stay in the UK, that will make you to enjoy even the work you are doing. Now, let's talk about termination of employment. Under the first 4 weeks, you can terminate your employer, or you can terminate employment anytime without any notice. You don't need any notice. Let's say you arrive in the UK. As soon as you arrive, you start working. The first 4 weeks, you can decide, look, I'm not going to work with you again, and you terminate your employment. So you don't need to give any reason. You don't need to give any notice. Now, the second one is between the first month and 6 months, you need to give 1 week notice. You can't just walk off. Your employer can take it seriously with you. It's a matter of, it's a legal issue. You can't just walk out. You need to give your employer the first 6 months, 4 weeks notice. Now, anything after that, after 6 months, you are entitled to, you are required to give your employer 4 weeks, 1 month notice that, oh, look, I don't want to work again. And you don't have to give any reason. You don't have to give any reason why you are no longer interested in working for the employer. You can just walk away, but you need to give 4 weeks notice. Let's say this is February, and you don't want to work again, maybe as from March. From today, you need to count 4 weeks and serve your notice before you quit. Now, hours of work. Majority of these employers, they want you to work for them for 37 hours in a week, but some of them could extend it to maybe about 40 hours, 45 hours, but legally, statutorily, is at least about 37 or 37 per hours in a week, but they can ask you to do more. And in terms of holiday, we've already talked about it, that you're entitled to 4 weeks annual leave. Now, the other thing I want to mention that I've mentioned in my previous video is there are things, as healthcare assistant, you are coming for this job. There are things you need to know, and I will keep saying it, because failure to grab this will put you in difficult situation. You need to remember that you have bills to pay, electricity, gas, council tax, road tax, and so many other things. Then food is very expensive in the UK, especially African food. They are very expensive. African food, very, very expensive, and transport is very expensive. And how much are you going to earn? Most of the time, you are going to earn £10 per hour. That is usually the starting point, £10 or £10, 15, 16 pence per hour. And when you multiply that in a month for 37.5 hours, then you are going to collect roughly about 1,300 to 1,400 in a month. That is after tax. So these are the things that you need to bear in mind. As a healthcare assistant coming to work in the UK, this is just a brief summary of what you are buying into. Now, in my subsequent videos, I'm going to talk specifically about the salaries of doctors, salaries of nurses, and salaries of healthcare assistants, for you to see, to know that is the move actually worth it? If I get a job offer as a healthcare assistant, how much am I going to earn? And how much will I be able to save at the end of the day? Is it better off for me to stick with the job I'm doing in Nigeria than to come and start doing this type of work, where you are going to spend a lot of your time moving from one patient to the other? So I'm going to do another video to cover the detailed salaries of doctors, of nurses, and of a healthcare assistant. And I'm sure with this information, you'll be better. You'll be in a better place to decide. Maybe coming to the UK, or coming to Canada, or going to Australia, or going to the other greener pastures, as people put it, is worth it or not. So, but this is something you need to know, that information is very, very good. In the process of recruitment, if you have any questions, friends, make sure you ask. Don't keep silent. You don't want to discover shocking news about the condition of your employment before you arrive. You need to know so that you start preparing. Information about your salary, information about your sick leave, your holiday, the probationary period, and what are the things that you need to do while you are there. These are the information you need to get. so that you will not be caught up with huge surprises when you arrive. So in my next video, like I said, I'm going to talk about salaries so that you compare and contrast what you are getting right now. So remember, if you are coming as a healthcare assistant, you can change your job. You can use that as a template, build up your CV, and that's what a lot of people do. Get a fantastic reference, get a fantastic CV, and look for better job opportunities. But remember, if you are going to change from one employment to the other, it is also very expensive, and we are going to talk about it in my next video. Very, very expensive. So it's not going to be as easy as I'm saying that you can change employment. That also comes with a huge amount of cost. So bear all this in mind, and the next subsequent videos I'm going to talk more about salaries of all these job opportunities, and I'm also going to delve into the cost of coming to the UK, especially as a healthcare assistant. Friends, until I come your way next time, keep trusting in yourself. I will always say, keep believing,